Hi there, welcome back to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today Spencer and I are doing a little mulching, a little trimming, a little, I don't know, pulling, I guess. We're gonna get ready to mulch our rose garden pathways, and I have all this Iberis back here that needs to be trimmed. I have Privot that needs to be hedged. I want to keep training my lemon cypresses, and then I need to edge the lawn. And we're on a mission to get as much mulch down as we can, because tomorrow we're picking up our compost, which we will use as mulch in the garden beds. So I like to mulch my pathways with bark chips, and then the garden beds with the compost. It gives it a really definitive, like, different color, so that you can see what's going on. So we're trying to get the trimming done before we mulch, so that there's not a bunch of little bits to take off of the new mulch, and we're trying to get the bark chips down before we bring in the compost. So it's all just like a timing dance, and I think it'll be pretty quick and easy to do. We're using electric hedgers, electric trimmers, and I am going to hand prune the inside of this Candytuft because it's right up against some new baby roses that I don't want to clip. So yeah, I'm going to turn the camera around, give you a little bit more of an idea of what we're doing here, and then we're just going to dig into the project. So here in our front garden, we have along our pathway, we have Candytuft or Iberis, and you can see these are a younger swath of Iberis, and they are more compact and with a lot more flower power right now, whereas these have been in the ground for 6 or so years, and they've gotten quite wide. They're close to 3 feet wide. They did their really big flush already, but they'll be kind of sparkling like this for the rest of the summer. And in the past, because they sparkle, I don't want to cut them back. But the reality is, if I'm gonna keep these ones, I need to cut them down so they're more narrow. They need to be like more dense, and we'll see if they come back with really good flower. And if not, I may be replacing them with a different variety. They're a pretty good, strong variety. Like, you could see they've got really good structure, but we just want it to be a little bit more narrow and give the new roses room to grow. And this fall, I'm going to be adding this river of grape hyacinths that we have here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So I need to make sure that I have a little ditch for them to be in. And then, you've been with me many times trimming this privet. I usually prune it back twice a year, and it's just a little fuzzy, a little hairy, and I just want to get it tight and clean. So that's what we're going to work on. Of course, it's just time to edge the lawn, and today's a good day to just go ahead and do that. And then we'll grab our ladder, and we're just going to be pulling the strings that already exist up there closer in to the structure, and that's going to allow me to see how much of this I need to hedge to keep the shape, because you could see some of it's like going straight up, and I need to start training it so that it becomes this arbor right here. All right, so I'm going to just go ahead and get started on that Iberis and go from there.
collar with no tag. Your collar with no tag.
It's not done?
No?
Well, I don't recognize that one. At one point we had lined this bed up with these log sections. It's completely covered by those Iberis today, so just pull that last little piece out and then I can dig this up so we can mulch it. I guess I need to hedge that side too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Huh? Yeah, I'm gonna take my hedgers and just a touch, so it's not super stressed, but start giving it the shape I want.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Right here. We have completed for the day. Spencer's energy's waning and I'm due to meet a friend for dinner. So we will mulch this path here and in this ditch that I just did probably tomorrow morning. This one I just kind of cleaned up a little bit more. So I had these like little bump outs full of fritillaria and tulips maybe. The tulips didn't come back, as they never do, and the checkerboard flower was pretty spotty, and I just kind of want, now that I have this river, which I really love, this river of grape hyacinth, I just want it to be nice and even. So this bump out will let the grass grow in here and right there, and then it'll just be nice and smooth, and this will be nice and smooth, and we'll put grape hyacinths over here this fall. First thing that I did was I sheared back this Candytuft and those, and I did a light shearing on these ones. They're a little bit older than these two, but I still kind of did a little shearing on them just to encourage their growth to be dense. And Spencer put some cardboard down right here. We put a big thick layer of bark mulch. You could still see some cardboard right there, but that's going to be covered up with compost, so that there will be a clear rose garden bed here and a rose garden bed right here and right here, and then we'll just continue these walkways at a later date. The other thing that I did was trim our privet, which, you know, it was just like a little haircut, but it looks nice and tidy, nice and straight off the driveway, nice and clean up there. It's a little hard because the ground slopes way up high, so trying to keep a even hedge is quite the challenge, but you know, we're fairly happy with it. And I finally had a moment to pull these lemon cypresses closer to the arbor, just a little bit, not a ton, just tucking it in a little bit closer. And then I took my hedger and lightly sheared the outside and the inside to start really creating that shape. And I went ahead and sheared around the whole edge. Now these lemon cypresses, this one in particular, had a neighbor dog for quite some time, just kept using this as a restroom. We put a pot there, we planted things there, and it took a while for us to not have that issue anymore, and that dog is no longer in the neighborhood. So these don't really come back after being that damaged. And then you can see, like, if you cut too far into the wood, that's not a good example. If you cut too far into the wood, you end up with these dead spots. So we'll have to make a decision. If I'm kind of contemplating maybe limbing these up a little bit and underplanting them with something really fun. We've got a fantastic group of ladies mantle under here that comes out pretty early spring. We could do that. Maybe we could put some Lithadora under there. Maybe we could do bluebells. I don't know. I'm just playing with some ideas for right now. So yeah, that is it. I just trimmed a little bit off the top so that we could start training it to be nice and tight. But I didn't want to go too far with it because it's still, you know, it's still in its training stages. So I didn't want to like freak it out too much because I'm already stressing it just by pulling it tight like that. But it's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with the edging being done and the Candytuft being hedged. And of course the privet is always nice to just have a little haircut in the springtime, and then we do a good hard prune in the fall. All right, that is gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you were inspired to go out in your garden and do something, even though like my Candytuft looks so drastic compared to what it was all like wild and full of flowers. But I know that it's gonna flesh out and be even better than it ever was having this kind of shear. And you know, it's kind of a unique evergreen hedge to have Candytuft, but it's the perfect height, and I love that it flowers, and I love that it gives that little bit of structure, that evergreen structure all year long. And I'm really excited that this ditch got done so that I can plant the grape hyacinths this fall, because isn't that river just so amazing? It's just absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to have it on both sides. So that is going to be it. I hope that you are celebrating your life, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.